We're back on the beam, folks, and we're not stopping until we get to our... We're back on the beam, folks, and this time we're not stopping until we get to our destination. First stop, a little town with a big problem. Here are 19 reasons to read Wolves of the Calla. Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm Dave Musson, at Dave Musson on Instagram, and this is the place where I'm taking you through the works of Stephen King in chronological order and giving you 19 reasons to read all of his books. On top of that, I put out a few specials here and there, including things like a Stephen King starter kit and, relevant to this video, a complete guide to The Dark Tower with all of its related books and a suggested reading order. Why not check out some of those, and if you like what you see, hit subscribe so you don't miss anything in the future. So as you'll know by now from the title of this video and the intro, we're back on the path to the Dark Tower, and in this video we're looking at 2003's Wolves of the Calla, the fifth book in the epic Dark Tower series and the one that started the run to the end of it. So in this video I'm going to give you 19 reasons to read this one, and as ever I'm going to put any spoilers together at the end of the video and give you fair warning, so if you need to bail before we get there, you can bail before we get there. Okay, let's jump in to Wolves of the Calla. So as I've mentioned, this is the fifth book in the Dark Tower series and the first one that was written after the accident that almost killed Stephen King. And ahead of this book's release, two excerpts were published separately. So Calla Bryn Sturgis, that section, appeared on King's website in 2001, while The Tale of Grey Dick was published in 2003 in, bear with me, McSweeney's Mammoth Treasure of Thrilling Tales. And both of those sections were then revised and incorporated into the full novel. The book's subtitle for this one is Resistance, which, as you'll see when we get to the plot, is pretty much perfect. So King really leans into the Western stuff in this, and it was particularly influenced by John Sturgis's The Magnificent Seventh. And in fact, that's where the name Calla Bryn Sturgis, the setting for this story, comes from. It is a nod to Sturgis's name. So, in terms of a brief, spoiler-free plot overview of this one, we're back with Roland, Eddie, Susanna, Jake and Oy, and they find themselves in the little town of Calla Bryn Sturgis, some country bumpkin place out in Midworld where everyone has an incredibly annoying way of speaking and seem to have children come in twins. Now, every 23 years or so, some wolves come and steal one of the twins and take them off to the nearby city of Thunderclap. Those stolen children are then used up and returned a few months later, but they come back ruined. That's ruined in Calla Bryn Sturgis stupid talk. And by ruined, I mean they're essentially mentally handicapped, and they become gargantuanly large and eventually die very young and incredible pain. Roland and his gang arrive in town and they decide it's time to put a stop to those fucking wolves, and they hatch a plan. And that's basically it in terms of spoiler free. There's loads of flashbacks and other stuff going on, but if you don't want spoilers, then I'm not going to tell you about them right now. So one thing I can say, and it's hinted at on the cover of the book, is the women of the Calla have their own special weapon that they are all masters at. A kind of dinner plate, but one that's really, really sharp, like a horrendously sharp knife that can totally kill people when you throw it like a frisbee. The women are all aces at it, and unsurprisingly, our own Susanna is also a badass when it comes to the deadly plates. So when it comes to Dark Tower stuff, everybody always points out the fact that there was a 6-year gap between the Wastelands and Wizard and Glass, and how agonising that must have been. Very rarely is it mentioned that there was also a 6-year gap between Wizard and Glass and Wolves of the Calla. Now yes, there was the accident of course, but it doesn't get mentioned anywhere near as much, probably because there wasn't really the cliffhanger ending that we had at the end of the Wastelands. But you know, it's still there, it's still the same, still kind of interesting. So there is a lot of hopping between worlds in this one, and for me that's a good thing because I don't really like being in Calla Bryn Sturgis, or Calla BS as I like to write it in my notes. Everything about the town for me is annoying, the people, the accents, the robots, the whole story. I just don't want to be there. So that world hopping stuff, thumbs up from me. So there are, somewhat surprisingly, a couple of genuine links between Wolves of the Calla and the Harry Potter books. One that I can say right here in this spoiler-free section is the font choice. Particularly the font choice for the chapters and all of that stuff, it's the same font as the Harry Potter books. I'm trying to find it bigger for you. There you go. Wonder how Stephen King feels about that now he's, fallen out with J.K. Rowling somewhat. One of the interesting subplots on this is, of course, Susanna's pregnancy. Now, it is something that is really there to set up book 6 and 7, but it is really interesting in this one. It's fascinating to watch it develop off to the side. So the final spoiler-free reason to read this is that from this point onwards, King sticks with the tower right to the end. No more waiting, no more 6-year gaps, just straight through. Okay, time to enter spoiler territory, so if you need to leave here, do take care, I'll see you soon, and, well, stay safe over long days and pleasant nights. So the big spoiler on this happens to be a character who finds themselves living in Calla BS. It is Father Donald Callahan. Yes, the disgraced man of religion who got on a bus in Salem's Lot and headed out of town with his head hung in shame. He ends up in Midworld and ends up on the side of Roland and the gang, fighting against the wolves. So probably my favourite bit of this book is actually learning about Callahan's backstory. We learn that after leaving Salem's Lot, he realises that basically he can spot vampires out in the wild and sets about trying to kill them. That brings him to the attention of the low men, who don't really like that, and it all ends up that Callahan dies. But like when Jake died, he finds himself in Midworld, at the very same way station in fact, meeting the man in black, in fact, who gives Callahan Black 13, the dark orb from Merlin's rainbow of glass orb things. Black 13 ends up transporting Callahan to Calla BS, and there he is waiting for Roland and the gang. It's also apparent that Black 13 is so powerful that it can cause people to go toe dash, which is where all the world hopping comes from. Oh yeah, and Callahan later discovers this book by some guy called Stephen King, never heard of him, and it's called Salems Lot, never heard of it. But basically, it tells the story of Callahan's old life and old town, and unsurprisingly, he starts to question his own existence. So proper deep dive fact here, in Wolves of the Calla, King references one of his own previously uncollected short stories, a tale called the Reploids, which has only been published in the 1988 book, Dark Visions. And this is a tale that deals with people slipping between worlds. There you go. Back in the Calla, and Jake makes friends with somebody his own age, the really charming boy Benjamin Slightman. They get on really well, Jake and Benny, so obviously Benny has to die in the battle. Sorry Jake, you are not allowed to be happy. So, remember Susanna's pregnancy? Well, that came about thanks to the session with the demon that helped bring Jake back into Midworld in the Wastelands. Yeah, not good. Roland has to tell Eddie about it as well, which is super awkward. That's an awkward turtle, if you weren't sure. Maturing turtles. This book also features one of the most annoying characters in the whole Dark Tower series, Andy the Messenger Robot. He is a prick who deserves to rust. So the battle with the wolves that this book is obviously building to is great for a couple of reasons. First off, we get to see Roland conceive, plan and execute his battle tactics almost to perfection. That's really satisfying. But secondly, and probably even more fun, is King dropping in pop culture references like it's nobody's business here. We've got the wolves themselves that kind of look like Doctor Doom. We've got the wolves' weapons, which are basically lightsabers from the Star Wars franchise. And not only that, they also have these flying devices called Sneetches, which as a subtitle have the Harry Potter model stamped on them. There's the second Harry Potter reference, by the way. Like I said, King doing pop culture reference to the max. Finally, we end on another cliffhanger. Susanna, heavily pregnant now, has been taken over by Mia, yet another identity and character that takes over that poor woman's mind and body. And well, Mia grabs Black 13 and forces Susanna's body with Mia and the baby inside to go toe dash to New York, and closing the doorway behind them to stop the rest of the quartet following her. How the hell are they going to sort that out? good job King didn't leave it another 6 years, right? Okay, there we go, 19 Reasons to Read Wolves of the Calla, the 5th book in the Dark Tower series. Do let me know what you think of this one. Let me know if you, like me, hate the people and accents and general town of Calla Bryn Sturgis, and how much you would like to punch Andy the Messenger Robot in his stupid metal face. Or not, if you like those things. I'm up for hearing that too. If you enjoyed that, do stick around, there's plenty more. We've covered, obviously, all of Stephen King's books up to this point with 19 reasons for each one, and there's loads of specials too, as I mentioned earlier, including that ultimate guide to the Dark Tower. And if you'd like to come and chat more about it, then find me on Instagram, I'm at Dave Musson. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel too, so you don't miss any future ones. We've still got like another 20 years of his career to cover, so plenty more content to come, don't you worry about that. Do come back again soon, because next time we'll be picking up right where this one left off. Bye.